Throughout November, a number of demand metrics such as views per listing, search volumes, and email inquiry volumes to real estate agents all paint a similar picture. Demand is slowly moderating off its prior very elevated level, and 3 consecutive months of surging listings has alleviated some of the intense competition experienced by buyers earlier this year. Buyers are distracted as holidays approach, bringing a seasonal downturn in demand to buy property, though this has come slightly early and is somewhat larger in magnitude relative to prior years. 2021 has well and truly been a seller's market, and there are now signs balance may be slowly returning. Buyers continue to outweigh sellers in the current market, but the gap is narrowing, and next year could bring a more sustainable balance between buyers and sellers. That said, activity remains elevated, with high volumes of sales at rapid speeds. Weekly search volumes are drifting lower and fell 6% in November after pushing marginally higher in October. In Victoria, search volumes are off 11% versus October after the post-lockdown buzz drove a late but strong spring selling season. Much of this slowdown is seasonal, though for the entirety of 2021, search volumes have remained well above the same period in 2020. However, after being on average 30% higher throughout the year to date, that premium has begun to fade. The volume of email inquiry to agents also dropped in November, falling 22% as restrictions eased and open homes resumed. But it's important to remember, as restrictions have wound back, it has become less necessary for property seekers to email an agent. Email inquiry volumes have fallen for all buyer types, but first home buyer inquiry fell the furthest in November. In October, the average number of views per listing reached an historic high. However, in November, they recorded a 9% monthly fall, though still remain elevated relative to 2020. With heightened new stock entering the market and search volumes expected to trend lower, particularly late in December, we'd expect further declines in views per listing over the coming months. Increased listings and auction volumes, combined with the race to year-end and post-lockdown buzz of activity, saw sales volumes climbing in November versus the month prior. Preliminary weekly sales volumes remain elevated relative to the corresponding week in 2020, and there have been 41.4% more sales in the first 11 months of this year than over the same period last year. As more stock becomes available for sale, and more people have the opportunity to buy, it should keep sales volumes elevated over the coming weeks and months, notwithstanding the seasonal slowdown that's approaching. Properties are still selling at record speeds, and days on site remain at a historic low. In November, the median number of days a property was listed on realestate.com.au before we were advised it had sold was 30 days, which was unchanged over the month and remains at a historic low. At the same time last year, days on site was recorded at a much higher 44 days. While the seasonal increase in days on site is coming, with demand easing from highs and the supply of stock increasing, we would expect that properties will likely start taking a little longer to sell than they currently are in 2022.